All right, we're here with Jordan. Jordan, nice to see you again.
That's you.
Outstanding. And you are out in Phoenix, if I'm thinking about this correctly.
That's correct.
All right. Now,
120 degree weather.
that legitimately, it's like 120 degrees.
Maybe with the humidity.
And listen, I've had so many stupid air conditioning problems this summer already. Had to replace one in a condo that's a rental, had to redo our blower motor, and now I'm terrified of all things AC. How many systems are you running at your house? You got two of them? You got one? Is it powerful?
I have one that's spec'd about twice the size of my square footage, just so it can like stay at about 71 and run all the time. But like my power bill is like maybe 200 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not insane, but
yeah,
definitely high enough. Well, Jordan, we did not come here to talk about ACs. We came here to get to know you a little bit better. And I'll explain the format for anyone watching, and I'll explain it to you. I've got a bunch of questions on my screen that I want to ask you particularly. And I just want kind of your reaction, your thoughts about different topics in the MSP world. But we'll kind of start out with just a little bit about how you got your start. But we're not going to ask you to go all the way back in time and tell us every moment of your business owner life. So I will ask you, though, how did you get started in IT? This IT in general.
my father was in IT, and we had a computer really early. I'm 41 years old, so having a computer when you're 10, 12 years old is kind of a big deal. Eventually I was building computers and asking for parts for Christmas, and it's just a natural ability passed down to me. And I just ran with it, and I absolutely knew what I was going to do by the time I graduated high school.
Right. And what do you remember the first time you got paid to do something for somebody's IT environment?
Yeah, I was 15 years old. I was doing freelance work for it's like e-lancing, and I did a contract to like build a basic website in PHP. And that's what I was kind of leaning towards, more programming, web development, and I got paid like $400.
Hell yeah!
And
15 years old, that's pretty good.
Hell yeah!
Nice, dude. Now we're going to kind of skip the journey to owning a business and all the decisions you took to do that. But let me ask you, what's the biggest difference between your first year in business and today?
I mean, the biggest difference is that today is so much more predictable and calm, and just using the last 15 years as my resume, I can really draw from so many mistakes and things I will never do again, things that I'll do again, and everything that I do day to day is just based on lessons learned, from either personal, peer group. It could be, Reddit, communities online. I really draw, I really try not to repeat something twice. And, in the industry of like Roost and automation, like this is really a time that it's like, I want to be professionally lazy.
Yes. Oh, I like that. Be professionally lazy. So speaking about like mistakes or lessons learned, what's something that nearly broke your business, but you worked through it?
I mean, COVID.
Okay.
I'll say that COVID really scared a lot of, because we had a decent amount of dentists, and those guys were scared of, patients weren't showing up because I think it's kind of, dentistry stuff you can delay until you can't. So when we're looking at some of our, we just onboarded this massive 3-location dentist to just sign a contract, and a couple months into it, they're like, we aren't seeing people, we need to cut back. I'm like, our contract's not like that. We can't just turn off the faucet. All your computers are on, and they're, you're calling us for support.
Right.
So, we had to negotiate, and, we were very flexible. We offered credits to some clients that clearly their workload went down, and all those clients are still with us. And, I think that really created a long-term relationship by being flexible. Like it's really about when it's shitty, the way we react and the way they react. And if we can come together, we're going to be probably, even friends for life, like even outside of work. Like,
Right.
one of my biggest periodontist client went to my wedding,
Yeah.
just because of are so tight.
Yeah. That's cool. So COVID, I asked you what nearly broke your business. That was a moment that you felt very vulnerable.
Yeah, because we were all in on adding new logos through cold calling, email campaigns, and it's like people stopped wanting to make decisions, right? They're trying to understand what's coming up next. They're not going to go, oh, let's change IT companies. There's a pandemic where you're afraid to go to a grocery store. Like your priorities change when there's a pandemic. So when you're calling them, hey, you want to switch IT companies? We're the last person they want to talk to. We get laughed out of the room. It's like if they have a fire, maybe they'll look around, or if they need to switch to work from home model, they might start dialing numbers if they Google IT support around me. But
Right.
those are far few in between. That was just like, that new logo stopped at that point, until things kind of calmed down and new industries emerged, from COVID, like more remote based things, or, like outsourcing your bookkeeping, and we'll work with the bookkeepers and put them in Azure. Those kind of, came out like years later.
So let me ask you this. So if COVID was a time that you felt really vulnerable, could have broke you, what was a major inflection point in your growth? Something that changed the game for you?
Well, not working with dentists. It comes down to it. Like you look at the diversity of your clients, and if you have people that can be wiped out by a pandemic, or and a crash of a certain industry, if like you've got auto dealers, when auto dealers slow down, or you're really vulnerable. And I think at the time we had a good amount of dentists, and we had a salesperson that we're paying that really needed it. The only way that works is if they close business. So we had to just decide to keep chugging along, because we did have the PPP money. We qualified for it. We actually went to offices in full COVID gear and had them leave the room and install computers, as like we adapted to it. But we started to move away from dentists, in general, because they were vulnerable to COVID, and just overall they're relatively difficult clients to have.
Yeah, I've heard in the MSP space, dentists you either do all dentists or no dentists, and both are tough. Anything in between is really tough. Yeah. What when you think about as a business owner, obviously you're going to be a creative person, you're going to be an innovative person, you're going to get opportunities to work with, anything that touches technology a lot of times. How do you, Jordan, decide what to say yes to and what to walk away from, especially as you grew?
Well, in terms of like new verticals to enter, or like new stuff to sell.
Someone says, can you set up Starlink on my yacht? Or, can you build this 50,000, square foot, classroom for me, whatever the thing may be. How do you decide what to say yes to?
I mean, we had an opportunity that it was this large client that was much bigger than us, and they're like, we want dedicated attention, and they wanted dedicated like attention, like they wanted their own help desk, like they wanted their own team in our team. And I started to price that out and try to go, well, if their tickets aren't coming in, okay, they're still gonna have the full burden of that employee, and they're going to be bored, and they're not going to have good job satisfaction. Okay, so they're going to have to do other tickets. But how do I bill, this client for that? And they wanted to show up with their logo on their shirt. It was just very not our wheelhouse. And I just basically just did some math and added a little bit more to it, and it kind of ended the conversation. It's like, he didn't think it cost that much. It's like, I understand how much it costs to do that. I mean, I'm already picturing that the tech's going to be not happy with it. He's going to be bored off his mind because your problems are always this or that. You know, I could understand if this is something that we've done a million times, and if I think this is something that my other clients will do, I'll definitely consider it.
Okay. All right. So you make decisions based on the numbers, and if it's something we can replicate or duplicate in the future as well.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit right now. What changes in the MSP market are you paying close attention to right now?
One thing is cyber insurance companies trying to be IT companies.
Oh, okay.
You know, this is a trend that I see on LinkedIn a lot, and I've seen it once. You know, from a pension firm who they sent me this flyer from their cyber insurance company. You know, and their insurance company is kind of vertical to their industry, so they're like coming to them with, hey, you know, if you let us do the antivirus and the outsourced SOC, we'll give you a premium cut.
Oh.
And like that's you know that's tough because you don't want those guys being your IT company. They, you know,
Right.
you were trying to call your insurance company. I mean, you're just dealing with different levels of outsourced flock. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the client that brought it to me was just kind of laughing at it because it's like, you know, okay, if you use our services, we're gonna lower your fees. But you know, if you have any trouble, you're gonna have to call us 800 number, and it's like gonna be like in India, and
Right.
they're not gonna know your applications. They're probably not gonna be even credentialed enough to have access to remote into computers. You know, like when you're in regulated industries, your IT company should match your compliance. And you just, I mean, I just saw something the other day about a cyber insurance company that just got ransomware. Like,
Oh,
these guys don't eat their own dog food.
all
You
right.
know, you're just a number.
All right.
And
That's interesting. You know, I hadn't heard that transition that they appear to be moving towards. I do know in one of our peer team meetings, I let the guys know, hey, I'm really into HR right now and really paying attention to it. And I never heard of an HRIS, an HR information system before, and we're using Rippling. And man, I about got booed out of the room. I said, what's the problem, boys? And they said, they're trying to steal our jobs. Rippling is. They have their own kind of licensing procurement. They want a piece of the IT, puzzle. And I hadn't paid attention to that in their offering, but sure enough, they were right. So it is interesting to see who's going to be coming into the MSP space and thinking there's some low hanging fruit that, may not go anywhere, but it makes your job a little tougher while they figure out that they can do it or shouldn't be doing it.
yeah, it's definitely a little bit of, attempted price pressuring, like
Yeah.
when they threaten, it's like, okay, if you don't use our outsourced SOC and our antivirus, we're going to up your premium.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, okay, maybe there's a breach later, God forbid.
Mhm.
And they start getting the letter of the law, they could really exclude anything for any reason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like like a Geico decided to open up a bunch of, mechanic shops or auto body
Exactly.
shops. It's like that. I don't think the regulators would smile at that for sure.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Tell me, what, when you think of all the tools that you've used over the years or systems or strategies, what's been the biggest, kind of tool, framework, strategy that's made the biggest difference in your business?
Probably offboarding tools.
Offboarding tools.
In general, I have too many tools.
Yeah.
So, like if we took a look at every tool that we owned, Cloud Radio for client portal.
Mm-hmm.
We had a TBR platform. We had, we just started consolidating tools away from these, separate logins, and it's just seeing the lower bills nice too, because
Sure.
tool. There's so many. I get so many emails every day about ConnectWise, Kaseya selling this new widget tool, and go to the conferences, and it's like you gotta do your research and just stick with a friggin' tool for a couple years. And if you add a new tool, you absolutely better have the buy-in of everyone in your company. You better have checkpoints on, like when we got Quoter, that was my 4th quoting tool.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like we jumped around. Like there's some like QuoteWorks, is so old school. It's like a DOS program, and
Sure.
we hit a wall with it when we were like trying to onboard people, and it's like, yeah, learn this freaking DOS program. And then we tried Cell, and it's like they just barely put that thing in a browser. It looks like AI freaking generated. It's so sloppy.
Yeah, right,
And then
right.
we landed on Quoter. It's like, okay, this kind of fresh, take a born in the web style program. And, so like ConnectWise, I had to buy at the contract. The QuoteWorks is just kind of an annual weird thing where you kind of own it. And then Quoter is it's 3-year agreement, and I actually negotiated annual, and then I got 60-day opt out so that we could try it for 60 days because they really didn't have like a full trial or anything. It's like,
Right.
let me just walk around this program for a little bit, just because I've been through so many quoting programs.
Yeah.
So Quoter, they were flexible, they negotiated, and we kept it past the trial, and they've added features, and then they were freaking bought out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like who they owned by Datto, or no, they're owned by ScalePad.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. ScalePad has some big plans in the world right now. They've got some really big plans. It's fun to see what they're doing. As long as they don't sell to Kaseya, that's happy news.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, if you were going to start your MSP over today, what would you do differently?
I mean, the obvious thing to me is being very vertical. I mean, that's like what probably everyone would say is like, just pick an industry and just like walk in their shoes. Go to their office, see what they do, go to lunch with them, and just speak their language. Make that your language. Like,
right.
Cause for us, it's CPA firms.
Yeah.
And like we started a CPA firm. I'm still friends with all those people almost 20 years ago. I went on trips with them, went to the casino with them. I mean, I still go to the casino with them. Like, CPAs love to gamble.
That's right.
So, speaking their language and hearing their, tax season, they hate tax, there's so many freaking deadlines. There's so many rule changes. Their software is always terrible. It's just, there's something they're trying to do. It's not going to work when they need it. It just, when you walk them out in their shoes, you can write your emails and speak to them in a way that they just kind of lower a barrier, and they're like, okay, you're not trying to just sell me, a bunch of crap. And, when it doesn't work, I'm going to call 800 number and wait 65 minutes, like when they call the IRS.
I think, obviously Bering McKinley, we're vertical. We just work with MSPs, and that was an accident. It happened that way. But you're exactly right. Knowing, MSPs around the world and having touched thousands of them and just knowing their world, it allows us to not just be the expert in their tools, but the experts in their business. They know their business from the living in it. We know their business from we can observe lots of you and share practices with other ones. And I think to your point, it's walking in their shoes and being able to get that other vantage point on their business just makes you all the more valuable. So that's something you would do different. If you had to start over today, you'd say, I'm picking a vertical, and that's part of my ideal client profile.
Exactly.
Yeah, outstanding. So let's ask you this, and I think you and I've talked a lot. I think you're gonna have a good one for this. What's a myth you hear in this MSP space that drives you crazy? I've got about 50 of them. But is there one that comes to mind for you? That wisdom from a stage somewhere, that thing that your MSPs say that you're like, you're missing the boat here on that.
myth.
I'm going to give you an example of one.
Yeah.
All right. The myth I hear is hourly revenue is bad. Just carte blanche. We don't do hourly. And
That's
so
bullshit.
I can obviously debate against that, all day long, and maybe slightly change one mind out of 1,000. How about, does that help think of any of them for you?
I mean, one myth is that you have to respond to text from your clients.
Right.
Like, I mean, we do, when people have your cell phone number, it takes you down a peg in terms of your maturity level. If clients are skipping every process, if they're bypassing, the one time you reply, you now set the expectation that that's a acceptable way to talk to you. And, okay, maybe this client pays you $100,000 a month, and that's okay. We got those clients. I just set the expectation that, hey, this is for you, for the best solution, service. I need you to go through the correct methods, because if I'm like have no signal, or if I'm in a meeting, and you're down, that's not going to work for you, right? So people will just go to the least path resistance.
Yes.
Time and time again, emailing me directly over using the ticketing system. This is really a problem we solved a long ago. But I do remember, having those exclamation point emails and my everything's down. It's like, dude, literally alert the 7 people to reply to that, and if they need to get me involved, they will. It's just a disservice. Like, you don't call the president of the freaking car dealership.
It is funny how, as you think, most small business owners, we start out with that's my secret sauce. I'm accessible to my clients, and it feels right. It feels like good logic until you realize that there's no way to scale around that. Well, that's a good one. I like that one. Oh, let's do a couple more. Did you ever think about selling your business? And, if yes, what factors played into that decision, or what factors play into that decision of, whether you'll sell or take a different path?
I strongly do not want to sell my business, like, ever. I'm working on training the next owners now. I am strongly against the private equity movement. It's never good for the client. And, we've gotten to where we are because we have deep relationships with our clients, and, eventually they'll sell their business. But I just cannot, good conscience, sell my business and transfer over that stuff. And, I know what happens. I'm going to be checked out. I'm not going to care as much. Key employees are going to understand what's going on. They're going to take off, right? Like, they're only going to want certain types of staff. Admin staff are gone. I've really built a really niche group of people on my team that we're doing we are very capable at, for our size. And, if they, let me think another train of thought here. So, I mean, basically, I get called at this point. They've actually bought my cell phone number from lists. Like, it's rare. Like, it's just recently I've gotten like 2 or 3 voicemails every week. Begging for callbacks from a couple like firms I've heard of. So, like, I'm getting targeted, and I just look at that movement as an opportunity for us. I really want, because I'm 41,
right?
And if I'm able to train my next owner, pass that down, be paid. It's basically like the CPA. What I've learned at a CPA firm is you work your way up from the bottom. You add clients. That's your book. And then your book is your value to the company. They can put a number on it, and you can buy into the equity. And, there's kind of a negotiation there with salary. It's like, well, I got this big old book, so you better pay me more, but I now have a big loan. So it kind of offsets each other. So I kind of believe in that method for IT company, because this industry is still very much people selling to people.
That's right. That's interesting. So if the payday of selling isn't what you're shooting for, and that obviously would not be the measure of success, how do you define success in the next couple of years? How will you know when you are reaching a goal of success?
Well, there's the growth initiatives that we have with HubSpot and Matt's company. We have a lot of irons in the fire with SEO, a bunch of landing pages. We're starting to get CPA leads trickle in even today from a campaign. So we're trying to add a bunch of the right clients, at a certain price. And, I'm not trying to have 1,000 clients. I'm trying to have like 20 more at the right size. And I want them to be completely, properly sized. We're correctly sized for the amount of clients we have now. And we have room for a little more, but like I want to grow exactly as we add clients and not have to worry about a stagnant salary sitting in the corner because we're overburdened, whatever. So
right.
The thing that's success, that for me, the measure of success is that my next owner can evolve to partner with me, and he can get to the next level. It's really about I don't want to say too much stuff on here about that.
No, I got you. I got you. Yeah.
The stuff in writing that.
Yes.
In contracts.
I think I'm hearing you say success will look like me being able to take junior people, work them through the process so that they can be partners with you in the future, and that maybe even PK Tech turns into a firm that outlives you.
Exactly.
Yeah, outstanding. All right, well then let's ask you this. Somebody gives you $100,000 right now to invest in your business. Where do you deploy that capital?
I would put that into sales marketing, and a decent amount into AdWords. We had success with a couple keywords, where we're getting out-of-state CPA firms hitting us up. So I think if we can multiply that and probably up our engagement with our marketing company to be able to respond to all that activity. It's very expensive to test, a campaign, like, to buy certain keywords, like, are very competitive. Like, and we try, one sneaky thing you can do is like, a very specific word that no one's really buying. Yeah, there's a reason.
All right.
Like we're, like all CPA firms have to do this safeguard rule, the FTC safeguard rule. It went into effect a couple of years ago, and it's like a big deal.
Yeah.
But they don't search for that or give a crap about that, it seems.
Right.
Once we talk to them, we bring it up, and they're like, "Oh, it's just another rule we got to follow." But there's a reason why that word's cheap.
Yes. So you would put that 100,000 to use in sales and marketing.
Yeah.
I like it. So what? We'll kind of wrap up this section of questions with the what advice would you give to an MSP that just hit that $1 million mark in revenue and probably doesn't know what comes next?
Well, I would want to know if they know they're making money, because I think there's being $1 million MSP, and there's having a profitable $1 million MSP.
Two big differences. Yeah.
The tools, 2-minute staff, not having proper bookkeeping and classification in your chart of accounts. If you don't have any visibility to that within like 2 weeks of the month closing, it's really tough to make intelligent decisions.
So get to know the numbers really well, it sounds like.
Yeah, because really, if you could just look at the revenue you already got going here, and just cut your expenses back a little bit, because maybe you bought some giant toy for the office that was, a couple grand,
Okay.
and you throw that in the G&A, and then you got a new refrigerator, you want to celebrate, you got a bunch of Mountain Dews.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all of a sudden, the following month, you're minus 12,000 now that month. Like,
Right.
what happened to me?
That's
And
right.
that's something I did.
I gotcha. It sounds very personal, by the way, Jordan.
Yeah, well, so we had an employee here that, he moved away, and his parents, basically, both of his parents died of COVID,
Oh,
and he's only lived at home, and
yeah.
he was in his 30s, and he pretty much moved to his only other living family member, and living with his brother, and he's gonna be our first remote employee because we
Mm,
really liked him. He's worked with us for 6 years, and it was just too much. Like,
yeah.
he had to physically be in the office for him to focus on work,
Mm-hmm.
and that was apparent like a couple weeks into it. It's like, dude, your time entries aren't even being entered on time. Like, he's writing them down, and he enters them later. Half the details gone. You know the problem.
All
It's
right.
absolutely unforgivable, like in this industry.
All right.
So we're like, okay, what if we buy a robot on wheels that has like basically like an iPad on it,
All
and
right.
it drives around the office, and uh, he can control it, and he's
Okay.
basically could be at his desk, and you could just walk over there, hey, how's it going? And
Ah,
it was like, that could work, right? And
sure.
so this, I knew the product already. I already was researching it because I was just like interested in a robot on wheels and with the iPad
Yeah.
on it. We bought it, set it up. Didn't change anything, for one. He still wasn't doing time entries. It didn't check into it, in the morning. He forgot. It's just like the
Mm.
problem. It was just a toy, and thank God I was able to return it. It had a 90-day return policy,
Yes.
but it was around. It was more than $5,000. Let's say.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. That very creative take. I like it. I like it. Just wrong person at the wrong time
Yeah.
for that tool. That's funny. All right. Let's do some rapid fire. All right. So you're going to give, brief answers. We're going to kind of power through a bunch of them, and we'll see how you do. You ready? Take a big drink.
Nope.
All right. ConnectWise, Autotask, or neither?
ConnectWise.
All right. One PSA feature, if you'd wave a magic wand, would be better, as good as it should be.
Just being native to the web in general.
Okay. Is performance, overall performance, or aesthetics, or both?
Just actually not being teleported from a thick old school piece of crap program and then put into a browser that takes all your RAM. Like,
Yes.
actually be born in there and the UI makes sense. That would be great.
Gotcha. All right. What's your favorite automation you've ever built?
Probably I have some inbox monitoring workflows that uh, basically will forward certain invoices to shared mailboxes, and then there's workflows on those that plop them into SharePoint folders so that I can have my bookkeeper just has all the PDFs for
Sick.
expenses, and I don't have to do anything manually.
Nice, nice. Most overrated MSP tool.
Probably BDR.
Okay.
Servers are going away, but I just went to a conference and they announced someone that's a new BDR. It's like, this is not a current need. Like, worry about backing up Azure and stuff at this point.
Okay, excellent. Can you think of your most underrated tool that you can't live without?
I don't know if Roost is underrated, but it's up there.
Yeah,
Roost could really do whatever you can think of.
that's right.
It's for just just making it the way I picture Roost is it adds functionality to existing written software before the developers do it. So like
Nice.
ConnectWise should have this, that, the other thing. You can just program it in there to catch this
Yes.
scenario that they could never do.
I would definitely agree. It is underrated right now for sure.
Yeah.
All right, dark mode or light mode?
Light mode at work.
Okay. Outsource knock or in-house?
In-house.
All right. Your firewall vendor of choice?
Sophos.
All right. Now, here gets some tougher ones. Gross profit or top line growth?
I mean, gross profit, so the lights stay on.
All right, we'll take that. Best recurring revenue stream you've ever added?
Commissions on the internet.
Nice. Okay.
That's just zero expense.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's in the thousands for us now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people tell stories like that. I think that's awesome. Most expensive mistake you've made, other than the robot?
Probably a sales hire
Mm.
that was secretly working 2 jobs.
Jeez. And did you hang on to that person longer than you should have, or once you found out they were out of there?
Once we found out, we confronted them and with absolute evidence and cut it that moment, and it was very hostile, but that whole experiment was very expensive.
Yes, I'm sure it was. One financial KPI every MSP should track.
I'd say service salary service revenue ratio is a great staffing level indicator. Because we went from way too high years ago to we're way under.
Oh,
But that's just the way we're built.
Outstanding. All right. So service salary service revenue ratio, one of my favorites. I've got a couple good ones. Okay. EOS, traction, or seat of your pants?
We do EOS.
All right. Excellent. Do you hire for attitude or skills?
Attitude.
All right. Beautiful. Best leadership lesson you've learned the hard way?
Leadership. You can't outsource your leadership. You can't outsource your number 2 or 3. People try to do that, but they don't have the same stakes or buy-in. You have to control it yourself, or have people in your W2 that will feel, if you do well, they feel good. If you do bad, they should feel a little, let's pick it up. Like, I want my job, like I want this company to do well. When it's an outsourced thing, it's like getting paid. There's very low risk.
That's right. That's right. All right. Excellent. Let's go with some fun ones here. Coffee or energy drinks?
Coffee, espresso, everything. I got a double shot right here.
Outstanding, in a very big cup.
Oh, yeah.
Last tech problem you couldn't fix yourself?
That's tough. I mean, something with Windows 11 and just being an awful operating system. It's the logins are so integrated to the cloud now. And I like my laptop was off for too long, and it had to be reassociated with the domain, and it's like I can't even log into this thing as freaking admin. Like by default, I'm not. It's like I've been local admin my whole life, and I'm getting a new laptop with 11. It's like making myself local admin on there is an act of God.
That's awesome. All right. working from work from home, blessing or curse?
It's a blessing.
All right, cool. And you get 1 day off with 0 calls. What are you doing?
Gaming at home. I don't know. I don't have anything really exciting for that one. I'm just
All right,
I'm chilling at home. There might be a little medical marijuana on there.
Outstanding. All right, Jordan. That's it for the questions. I thank you so much for going deep on some of these. I know we touched some areas that are going to violate some contracts, so we back down from those nicely. I think that's all I got for you, Jordan. I appreciate your time.
Yep, appreciate it.